You don't fight. Just your friend fights.
You know, when you get a look like that, you might want to run or dodge.
She was like, my friend ain't here, but my other friend is here, though. Right here.
Damn, she hit her so hard, she knocked herself out. Look at that. Yeah, folks, let's go ahead and get into our spoilery discussion of The Last of Us. And like Oz said, show's been great, man. Show has, it might have some episodes that are slower than others, but as far as every episode containing something of substance, containing something of good character development, you know, it's all been solid, man. I'm a little concerned with episode 7 here. And I'll get into that. Now, do I think episode 7 is a good episode? I think it's a great episode. And I'm not gonna get into too much of the discussion of the plot of episode 7, because if you're watching this, then chances are you saw the episode. And plus, if you haven't been watching, then we'd have to give you a whole lot of backstory on what happened here if we were to do that. So, you know, there's not, I don't want to tell you a whole lot right now. So like I said, stick around, you might be lost. If not, thank you for watching. We'll see you later. But yeah, as far as episode 7 goes, just to do a real recap, just for the sake of a real quick recap for the sake of discussion. So in episode 6, so Joel was stabbed by some bandits, some raiders. And big puncture wound in his stomach, and pretty much dying. And the only one that can save him now is Ellie. And this is where the episode opens. Ellie has found a house to take Joel into, give them some shelter, and she's trying desperately to figure out what to do with Joel. I will tell you this as we start this discussion. I thought, God damn, how much work did Ellie put in pulling Joel to that house, man?
Yeah, man, that was the question. Like, how did the little girl bring this big old man over here?
Yeah.
With the horse? How did she do that?
Yeah, you can see like the blood marks and everything right there. The only thing I can think of, she attached him to the horse and dragged him over there or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know at all. But this episode, if you played the game, now this is where I'm kind of like you are, a little bit. So this episode is based on The Last of Us DLC for the game, downloadable content.
Oh, gotcha.
And yeah, it was something called, I think, Left Behind. And what was cool about that is that DLC centered directly on Ellie and her friend. Her friend Riley, I think is her name. Now, there's a whole lot of elements that are taken from that DLC that you just saw right here. And if you, again, played it and you're watching the show, you'll notice anything from some of the same visuals. They go into a mall, you see things like the carousel, even the music.
Yeah, a lot of shot-for-shot stuff I'm seeing here. That's nice.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things that this show's been able to do, I think, really well, is that they've been able to like do shot-for-shot scenes from the game and not even like make a big deal out of it. Not people, because it's something you watch and the show flows so well that you don't even like, it doesn't stand out. You know, you're watching it and you might recognize it, but it flows so well, it just doesn't stand out in a good way.
Yeah, that's what's so astounding about this show is that how much money they put into this, right? You know, they got these shots where shit is, you know, obviously painted, obviously cured, obviously staged beautifully, you know, to show like the collapse of stuff, only to be shot for like 2 seconds, and then we move on. So it's like the money that they put into this to make it authentic. Yeah, it's amazing to me what they put into this.
But thing is, I've never played that DLC, man. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, you know, where it's like I don't know what's really going to happen here. Now I do know what happens at the end. You know, I've read enough about it to know what would happen to the characters. I just don't know how it played out. So there's a lot of storytelling here that I'm new to. So I'm kind of there with people who never played the game that are watching the show a little bit. So And I was looking forward to that. So in this episode here, let me see if I can find it here. And I really enjoyed this episode a lot. So in this episode, we meet Riley, who's played by Storm Reed. I did laugh at the way they introduced that character because she came in because Riley played too much. That's what it's come down to. When we first meet Riley's playing a so-called prank on Ellie.
Okay, I thought it would work better. In my mind, you loved it.
Love thinking I'm being. you thought that'd be fun?
Yeah, when Apocalypse can be playing no goddamn games like that. That's how people get stabbed in the head, bro.
Man, girl, you about to get it.
Yeah, it's about to be over.
I was like, come on, man. Yeah,
it's just a prank, bro.
Yeah.
No, we can't do that no more.
Thought you were being raped. Joke's on you. You know, it was hilarious, huh? So I'm gonna get into some of the things I found this episode to really excel in. What really made this episode stand out. Once we get these two characters together, so they're best friends, and they know each other from, I guess the military training school that they were in, or the training school that they were in, and that's one of the things I thought that was really cool about this episode, man, is that you hardly ever see this with other movies and TV shows where they really explore this with kids. You know, it was fun seeing this world through the eyes of kids that only know this world. You know, they know nothing else. But at the same time, they're seeing all these remains from the old world. And it was just kind of crazy seeing them take wonder in things that we took for granted. I thought that's kind of cool the way they did that. You know, again, we've seen this in other movies, but they hardly did it here. Like you hardly see a movie or a show where somebody's just like, wow, an escalator, and just have the best time on that thing, man.
Yeah.
No way.
Check me out, man. This is so cool.
Ford.
This shit is Disney World for her right now, man.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right, man. Other shows would have been like, my grandfather told me I wanted these things. Interesting. And to keep it moving. Whereas, you see it through a kid's eyes, this is what they would do. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get to realize that you don't see movies about the apocalypse, especially with zombies, where you get to see it through the eyes of children.
Right.
You know, because that's what I really loved about this episode, man. You know, it was great. It was great getting a glimpse of this world that they grew up in. You know, it's great seeing what this whole thing was like for them, having not ever experienced the conveniences that we grew up with, that we took for granted.
Yeah, you're right. And and having Ellie, act that way, sold the world to me even more that, this was really happening. Because she sold it great. Like, I believe that she never saw a goddamn escalator before.
That actor is great, man. Yeah. Like, shit, do they have escalators where she grew up, man?
Exactly. She sold the hell out of it.
It was like that wasn't rehearsed. They just let her ass go. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. It's also interesting to see, this world that they're growing up with because, this in this world, they don't have a childhood,
Right.
I almost feel bad for them because they don't have any kind of childhood at all. So, it's cool to see even when they're playing on the escalator. It's like, okay, you know what? I like that they're having this moment, man, because, they're being raised to be part of the system. They're being raised to be part of the military, pretty much what they call FEDRA. The government institution that's there to hold order together. They're raising these kids from a very young age to be a part of that system. And they have no childhood when they're coming up. And it was funny because throughout these episodes, we're given these different perspectives on both Fedra and the Fireflies. That's another thing I think stood out in this episode because before you saw Fedra. Fedra was hanging people out in the town square. But then the Fireflies, you heard every now and then that they're terrorists. And sure, they're terrorists for, they think for the people. They're trying to stop the oppressive Fedra government out there. But then, you know, I love that conversation between Riley and Ellie, man, because they're both giving great points about why both of them have problems or both of them are problematic. You know, there's sometimes where fireflies might blow up something and inadvertently they're hurting the people.
Yeah, they wired up the block a couple weeks ago. You know, more people in the QZ, so more apartment population.
Fireflies blowing up the storage depot didn't help.
You know, I thought that was I thought that was cool. They both came from, you know, now they have different backgrounds, different goals in life, and they both have this point of view on who's right and who's wrong. While both of them are actually showing problematic things with those organizations, both organizations.
Yeah.
But I tell you what's really interesting about that conversation. I found it interesting that Ellie was defending Fedra, you know.
Yeah.
Because Ellie is so, you know, she comes across as so anti-authority. You know, even when she's getting bullied when she's training to be a Fedra soldier or guard or whatever, even when she's getting bullied, she's not being bullied because they just don't like her. They like, you know what, you got attitude and you're messing this up for everybody because you just don't like authority. And, you know, so to hear Ellie defend Fedra, I thought, man, that's an interesting take on that character.
Would you?
Give him back!
You don't fight. Just your friend fights.
You know, when you get a look like that, you might want to run or dodge.
She was like, my friend ain't here, but my other friend is here, though. Right here.
Damn, she hit her so hard, she knocked herself out. Look at that. It almost makes me root for Fedra because Fedra's hanging people, and I don't, you know, you see that and you think, yeah, that's terrible, man, and you know, pretty much committing murder. But then you almost root for them because it seems like they're making a breakthrough with some of these kids, like especially with Ellie. You know, in this world where danger's everywhere, there's so much despair, and a lot of kids are growing up alone, don't have families. You know, it looks like Fedra, for whatever reason, even if it's for the wrong reason, at least is giving them some guidance. Is giving them something to live for. And, you know, I look at that with Ellie, because Ellie, they made it, you know, the guard that came in, I guess he, you know, I forgot what they call him, like a general or something. You know, but he's a lieutenant or whatever. But he came in and it was kind of cool to see, because I didn't think he'd do it. He like made this breakthrough to Ellie. He really sold her on being a Fedra guard.
Yeah.
There's the other path. You become an officer.
An officer, there you go.
You get your own room, you get a nice bed. We eat well, we don't go on patrol. We're the only thing holding this all together.
You know, I thought that was cool because that humanized Fedra, you know, in a way. Then not only did this officer reach Ellie, he did seem like he really did care, but he did really believe that, man, this is all we got. If we don't hold it together, then it's chaos. You know, it's everybody's turning against each other. So
yeah, but you know, much like all these organizations, you know, there are, you know, a couple of those guys, but there's way more of those assholes.
Yeah,
out there.
that's true.
You know what I mean? We caught a good one in this episode, but I'm sure for every one good of him, there's like 3 or 4 assholes out there.
I know, you're right, because Riley's like, well, you got told you're gonna be an officer. They told me they're gonna have me sweeping shit, scooping, shoving shit. You're like, they're gonna put me on sewage detail, shoving shit all day. Like, I don't want to do that.
See, she got one of the assholes.
Yeah, exactly. You said I'm gonna be a firefly. Well, I don't have to shovel shit all day. So you know, they both had, and it shows also. You're right. How do you appeal to people? You appeal to them on what will, you know, what personal gains they will have. You know,
right? Exactly.
You know, there was no personal gain for Riley, so she became a firefly. There was a personal gain. She was going to be in a position of power for Ellie, so that's why she went with Fedra. You know, so so
you can see their divide and how they would come at it from different angles. So the show is smart, man. It's a very smart show. You know, and the only thing I will say real quick as we're on how good everything is going, I don't feel fear for anybody. Maybe because it's the lack of the infected that, you know, that hasn't shown up on the show, or they're very scarce. You know, some of the greater episodes that we've had, which is one of these. I thought this was a really good episode here too. And the third episode, was there even an infected anywhere in there?
Oh,
no.
The third episode was
with Frank and
barely.
Yeah, so it's very sparse.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't feel threatened in the world. You know what I mean? Even when the end of the last episode, when Joel was done, I didn't feel like, oh my God, get up, there may be infected around. I didn't even feel any of that. Oh, what's she gonna do now? That was my thing. I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing.
Well,
that I don't feel, you know, that they're in danger.
I would say that if I had to, not to pick for you, you know how you feel.
Right.
But if I had to say if it was a good or bad thing, it's a great question. I would say it's a good thing.
Right.
And the reason why is because I don't think that the show is meant to be a zombie show. It's not meant to make you feel fear. It's meant to make you feel despair sometimes.
Right.
You know, maybe it's meant to make you feel emotional, not fear, but, you know, sad for these characters.
Right. And that's exactly, and it's doing that, man. Almost every episode, man, they got that heartstring and plucking it.
Oh yeah, because they were, you know, in this episode, they're letting you know that happiness is fleeting. And you got to hang on to whatever little bit of happiness you got for that moment you have it. That's the purpose of the show. Because in this show, the moment that they start, and you know, we know this, man. This is what I fear. I fear the moment people start smiling. You know, anytime people start being happy, something happens. Because in this episode, Ellie and Riley, they were having a date night pretty much. And she was showing her the mall and everything that was in there, and it was, as Riley said, it's the night of your life, best night of your life. And of course, there had to be one snitch up in there. I hear happiness.
You've awoken the hate.
Yeah. We can't have happiness. We can't have none of that around here. So yeah, we had that snitch ass infected, man. And then, of course, it was only a matter of time. It was inevitable. You cannot have too much of a good time. And then that's when the attack happened. Now, this is a moment where we get another game moment. See, and I think I don't know if I talked to you about this. I think I talked to Chris and Martin about this. But if you played the game, you have a big moment from the game here, something that's very important in the game if you want to survive. So they got these things called shivs. Now, this is Ellie's pocket knife here, you know, her blade or whatever. But they got these things called shivs in the game. And if you get attacked and there's a zombie on you, like if it's one of these clickers or one of these fast runners or something, the only way to get out of that grasp is to use a shiv and get them in the head. And that's exactly, that's a moment from the game right there.
Nice.
But, you know, so you want to talk about fear, you know, that's what I was saying. Fear comes from these characters in their experiences and not through zombies. You know, it's through the fear of what is going to happen to me next, the fear of losing something, the fear of losing each other. And that's what happened when, of course, you might have figured that, yes, Ellie and Riley got bitten. And, you know, that was a big moment for me here, man, because this is really where I felt their pain. You know, I felt their fear when they were bitten. You know, I was really moved by this because this is one of the. There's a reason why this was so effective, because we see people get bitten all the time in zombie movies. You know, and they're about to be infected. But usually what happens in those movies, usually they have this heroic line, or they go out like a G taking everybody down, or they blow themselves up or something. And there's, you know, and that's not what happened here. And I'm going to show you this clip, but there's something else significant about what is happening with these particular characters that is not like these things I just mentioned.
No!
You know, we hardly ever see children go through the emotional fear, go through the emotional turmoil. You know, we never see children when they get bit, how they have to process it. You know, they either show it off screen or it's only, you know, we don't really address it. We see what happens to the child afterwards, you know, but you never see when they get bit and they have to, you know, emotionally have to suffer through this and, you know, and have to process it. And I thought this is another reason why this show is great, man. You know, we see the suffering with the children.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. It's always been a case where if a child has been infected, you see them as infected already, right? And the emotion comes from the person having to do what they got to do to that child. That's where the emotion comes from. It's on the person who's going to kill the kid.
Yeah.
This time, the emotion is the kid who just been, you know, bitten. And, you know, again, to see them process that and go through all of it, you know, it's great. I mean, the thing that makes this very believable is the upbringing of both of them, right? They've been hardened a bit, right?
Yeah.
So them freaking out is not a freaking out, you know, a kid who hasn't seen any of this shit done before would freak all the way out. So I just love the fact that, you know, they're freaking out, but it's a freaking out where they're almost trained for this.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, that's the sad,
it's cool.
Yeah. That's the sad thing about it, man.
Yeah.
They're trained for this, but no kid should have to make this decision. You know, it's a rough decision where they got bit and they have to think, all right, what's going to be the easiest way out? I mean, how are we, you know, are we going to kill ourselves?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Got two options. It's quick, painless. No, I don't like option one.
That was rough because she thought she was ready to make that adult decision. And she's just kind of, you know, and she's a child. She's like, I can't handle this. You know?
I ain't doing that
I
shit.
ain't doing that shit. She's like, it's quick, it's pay-by bullshit. You know, no, I ain't doing this.
Yeah. I thought I could go on like a G, but nah, I'm just going to sit here and deteriorate. How about you?
Yeah.
You want to deteriorate with me? Let's do that.
We'll deteriorate in love.
That's it.
Yeah, that was rough, man. You know, in a way, I'm glad I did not see what happened to Riley, but in a way, I did want to see what happened to Riley. I imagine, you know, like, did Ellie have to take her out? You know,
wow, imagine. Wow.
I really, as morbid as that is, I want to see that, man. And now that's a complaint of mine because you want to talk about hitting hard. Now, you can leave this to the imagination, but I thought, how powerful a moment would that have been had Ellie said, I'm going to sit here with you until the moment. And then Ellie had to be the one to take this girl who she just found out felt the same way about her. You know, she had a crush on her and they just started, you know, they just got ready to, you know, be a thing. You know, imagine having her having to take that out. And I was like, as many powerful moments as this episode has, that would have been one of the greatest right there.
Yeah, you know what? For me, I thought they handled it good. You know, your imagination does the rest for you. Yeah, and you just feel seeing her remembering them the way they were, I think is more impactful than seeing her try to shoot them. And almost akin to like when the third episode with Frank and Bill, you didn't see them dead in the bed. Yeah, you just saw the window open. So I think that you remember them the way they were, right? And I think you sympathize with that more so than remembering them as a corpse or whatever they're gonna turn into.
I would say this, man. So that all the story is being told because that made Ellie's decision for her not to leave Joel. You know, that's another reason why I wondered, like, what happened with her and Riley? Because did she leave Riley? You know, and people who played the game will probably know. I don't, but I was wondering, you know, if they did this in the game, and I'm wondering for especially for the show. So was Riley dying, and then she told Ellie to leave me, and Ellie left her, and then she felt really bad about it because, you know, thinking about Riley made her want to go back and rescue Joel. You know, so that's the only reason why I kind of want to hear what happened with that too. But again, it worked.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe since that seemed like it was almost like a Firefly area, and it seems as though that Riley was her job to take care of it. Maybe they heard some commotion and the Fireflies came and got them and maybe separated them. That's why she was in a different room, and then one person changed, but Ellie didn't change because I think this picks up like 2 or 3 days before that episode or something like that. So,
And
A lot of speculation there.
Yeah, Maven Cree makes a good point. She's saying, you know, she could, if nothing else, she couldn't save Riley. So, you know, it's something where, you know, I couldn't save Riley. But if I can save somebody, I'm not going to waste that time. You know, This is, like I said, this is a world where you got to hang on to any kind of bit of happiness, you know, any kind of bit of caring, any kind of bit of humanity. So she's not, you know, she's lost a lot. So she's not going to lose Joel, you know.
Yeah. Don't die on me, man.
You know, it's funny because when she started working on Joel and she pulled out that needle and that thread, he's like, oh shit. He's like, wait a minute, hold on.
You think you gonna do?
Get out of here, I said. Oh yeah, man. But nah, man, it's a great show. Great show.
No, it was another masterful episode. I'm enjoying it. I will say I love the fact that the show doesn't feel stagnant.
Yeah,
it's moving, and I'm enjoying the fact that it's moving. It doesn't feel stagnant. Everything is like boom, 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 boom. They have a story to tell, and they're telling it. They don't feel like they're spinning their wheels. I love that.
No, very much so. You know, if I had anything, okay, so I had some things to tell you that I said I'm worried about this episode. Let me tell you why.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So if I had to complain about anything in this episode, this is not why I'm worried, but if I had to complain about anything in this episode, it would be that I felt like the dialogue, it felt, again, scripted instead of feeling natural. There's a lot of things in this show that feel natural. In this episode, it felt a little scripted to me.
Really? What parts?
Oh, man, the parts were in the mall and the moment, but most of the stuff between Riley and Ellie, you know, it felt like cute dialogue that was written to me. But, you know, I'm not again, not complaining. I just say if I had something to complain about, that would be it. But but it would be very small.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
So you haven't played the game, but if you played the game, there's still a lot of story to tell here to get from where they get where they are, from where they are to where they have to go. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. And you know, I don't know how they're gonna fit that in 2 episodes, because that's all we have left is 2 episodes.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah, I don't know. You know, I don't know how we're gonna do that.
Oh, and to your point, I almost felt that way too, as far as you know, feeling kind of scripted and how things were going, until Riley admitted that she was leaving, and you realize, oh, okay, this is like a final date for her. So she's kind of pulling out all the stops.
Yeah.
You know, for her. So like, okay, I can see. All right. It didn't bother me as much once, you know, I realized that. So
yeah. Maven Cree's trying to be a smart ass, because Corey knows how teen girls talk to each other. No, I know what writing is, okay? I don't have to be a fucking teen girl to know what writing sounds like, all right? Yeah. I mean, you haven't been to fucking Star Wars, but you know when dialogue sounds bad between Luke Skywalker and a fucking Wookiee, you know? So, come on. I'm out here with that.
Hey, I'm hip to the jive, fellow teenagers.
Hey, I know how you kids talk to each other. I'm hip, man.
Yeah, you teenage broads. I know how you talk.
I'm cool too.
I don't know why you can't stop your.
I know. Hey, girls, I'm funky fresh like you. So, see, Maven, I do know how girls talk.